oral cruise is going to be. But if you go behind this mountain right here, there's like a big canyon there where they dug up all of the ground. I mean, it's horrible. And how they stripped the area. You can't see it from the road, but when you get back there, it's amazing. I took Preston back there about a month ago, and he was in shock. And I'll let him tell the story from there.
That through the mountains were created like you and I. It was created. We were created. They have no right to go and destroy it for the gold. That's what they want, the gold. The gold is the snake's blood. They want the snake's blood. The snake's blood has been destroying this world. Everybody wants it. Some big corporations are going to make the money. They'll have the money, and the rest of, and then they leave all that destruction behind.
We caught up with Preston Arrowweed at a sacred run to a mining operation. This one for gold.
This land was given to us at the very beginning. Before the Europeans came, it was given to us. The Quechan and Cahuilla have stories and songs that tell the story. I'm a singer, so everything that I do or say comes from songs. My knowledge of history comes from song. The reason why I know is because I know every word that I'm saying when I sing. It's not phonetics. So that's how I know.
I took Preston over there. I went a couple times before Preston has gone actually to the Oral Cruise or American Girl mines, which are close to each other. And we went back there, and I took him back there, and we went back there and looked at the areas of Oral Cruise and also American Girl, and both of them are just devastating.
One of the things they've done is destroying like the mountain, for instance, and that I didn't like, the destruction of that mountain. I don't like the destructions that I see, simply to get gold, to line their pockets, to get money. That's not reason enough for me to say it's okay to go and destroy everything. I don't think so. People saw what had happened, but no one said nothing. When I saw it, well, I was angry because they were created the same way we were. They created people, they created mountains. They're the same. So that's what that's when I became angry. Let's do something about it. And they're talking about, I've even seen them talking about gold and television, talking about people to save gold because that's a good thing to save and use later on. Well, you can save as much as you can to save for your family or your future, but what if the earth falls apart? I don't think you can use that gold to save yourself or to save the world, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're digging for gold everywhere they can. For what? What good is that? Eventually, all you're doing is for every sack full of gold that these people are getting, there's a place somewhere where they destroy the environment. They don't realize that. Somewhere, creatures, animals are dying. They don't know that. Somewhere out there, they could contaminate a lot of water. They don't know that. As long as they have that gold in their hand, they think that's good saving, that's good for their future. There will be no future if you keep doing that with the gold. And among other things that happen with that gold mine is also the lithium problem we're dealing with over here. Lithium's another thing. And I think that they don't care because right now the geothermal out there and plus the San Andreas fault over there that they're digging right near it. If they can go on until they can cause an earthquake. They can do a lot of damage. And so they really don't care. They just want whatever they can get out of there. And I think they know it, but it doesn't matter to them. But then of course, it's the public that lets them do it. The public wants it because they think they're gonna get money. They do want money, they do get. Matter of fact, they gave grants in Imperial Valley. Grants to a lot of people. And so they bought their way in there.
With the release of the recent report, entitled Characterizing the Geothermal Lithium Resource at the Salton Sea by Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory, the first formal assessment of the much-touted lithium resource there is quantified. As we discovered in our earlier Creative Frontline, KPFK radio broadcast, with Imperial Valley's Luis Olmedo, of Comite Civico del Valle.
We're in a position of, I would say, in a position of power like we've never been before. And I think my hope is that we're able to create a better blueprint as to how to extract these minerals, because one thing we want, and one thing's for certain, we need to reduce greenhouse gases, carbon from our atmosphere, because we are in a self-destructive mode right now. We want to make sure we have good jobs. We want to make sure we have community benefits. And in those jobs, we want labor agreements. We want to make sure that in scenarios as opportunities open up like they are right now with lithium and energy, those minerals are public patrimony. We want to make sure that if we are putting a critical ingredient, that this public patrimony that we feel is a very fair expectation, just like anyone in the business world would expect. If you're an investor, we're investing minerals, we want a profit share.
There are 3 questions of note. The first is, how much lithium is available? The second is, how long will it last? And the third is, will extraction trigger earthquake swarms on the San Andreas Fault? In the report, the first 2 are answered in depth. The third is anybody's guess.
You know, how long is this resource there and sustainable? How much quantity? These are questions, and I can point to like one agency that is actually, one entity that is looking at that, and that's the Berkeley Lab. I know they're working on that. I've seen University of Riverside very eager to go out and try to answer some of these questions. There's actually, because very few times do we get opportunities in this corner of the country, of the state. We want to make sure that also our local academic institutions are also helping answer some of those questions. Why? Because it's not going to be the only time we're going to need that type of capacity, especially if we're looking to diversify in our economy. We know that these minerals, that some of them are more difficult to extract. We know that lithium, as far as we've heard from the industry, we've heard from researchers, it is a science. You know, it's not like you're just trying to separate gold or these hard metals from an ore. They got to take it from a liquid to a solid and then to a liquid, and it's very interesting. But I think a lot of this information, at least from the industry side, much of it is being characterized as intellectual property. Now that's where we're going to have some trouble, I think. And the reason why is because the communities have a right to be informed. We need to be informed as to what chemicals are being utilized and what kind of risk are there to release those chemicals into the air, into the water, into our land, that are going to have a harm into our environment, our entire ecosystem, including human health.
Because of the reasons, how, our ancestors were massacred out there, I'm sure that they had left, their tools, the things that they used to hunt with, the things that they used on, their everyday life, they left them behind, and I'm sure that they're out there.
Thacker Pass, or Pahimaha in northern Nevada, is a place where Paiute people were massacred, and where people lived and hunted and gathered their foods and their medicines and traveled through for thousands of years. This place is under threat right now. The mining company Lithium Nevada is building a giant open pit lithium mine here.
The approval was given 4 days before Trump got out of office in a 9-month rush NEPA that went through during COVID.
They never did come down and consult with us about what was going on up here.
To produce 1 ton of lithium, you need 500,000 gallons of water. We're the driest region in the nation, and they're here trying to steal and take away and pollute and destroy our waterways.
We don't want our water to be contaminated.
So this teepee has been set up in the way of this water pipeline.
We're asking people of prayer to come and stand with us, be strong with us.
We need people to come out here and help us. That's why we're reaching out to other people.
I want to say something a little bit about Sam. We are descendants of him. There was a massacre here, 2 massacres here in 1865, and Sam escaped this massacre riding on his horse to the north towards a place called Disaster Peak. He survived that massacre and went on to tell his story about how his people were killed on their land here. We stand here and in prayer to protect this place, ancestral burial ground.
Why is it that the federal government can come in and force a project over local communities, over the objections of local communities? That doesn't seem very democratic to me.
How do we feel about it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't want it. We don't like it. My whole family is against it.
Climate change is real, and we absolutely have to cut carbon emissions. And a lot of people that believe in what I call so-called green energy are really concerned, and their hearts are really in the right place. But what's never questioned is this whole way of life, this whole consumptive way of life that's hugely energy intensive. We never ask, like, do we need to slow down consumption? Do we need to learn to live with less?
Ms. Pike, you speak to the importance of Apache culture and how it is an integral part of your identity. Can you talk about the challenges that you faced in your life as an Apache and how your cultural practices have helped you to overcome those?
I think being here now is one of the challenges that we face as Apache people, as being indigenous, facing the struggles of fighting for who we are, our language, our land, our resources, our future, and as a woman, having to fight to be able to bear a child and to try to teach that child, my future children, of what it is to be Apache and who it is to be indigenous, but to take them to a fence with a crater that's 2 miles wide. That is something that I'm fighting. It's for our future. And like my sunrise ceremony, for the boys to sing and do the sweat at Oak Flat, and for me to be able to pick the acorns and the berries, that is what keeps us who we are. That is the thing, the spiritual connection to Nagosan, to our Mother Earth, to Yosin, the Creator, to Chichib Dagot Il, to Zitlan Chasian, and to all sacred sites as indigenous people is what keeps us here today and now, as being Apache and as being indigenous.
The Fort McDermott Military Reservation was established the 14th of August, 1865, at the former site of Quinn River Camp Number 33, and a stagecoach stop, Quinn River Station, in what was the traditional seasonal homeland of the Paiute, Shoshone, and Bannock peoples. Originally, the fort was established to protect the stagecoach route from Virginia City through Winnemucca, Nevada, to Silver City, Idaho Territory. It was named after Lieutenant Colonel Charles McDermott, commander of the Military District of Nevada, who was killed in a skirmish in the area in 1865. Of several skirmishes or attacks by colonial forces, including the 1st Nevada Cavalry in the same year, murdered were between 30 and 70 predominantly women and children. Their records and remains recorded by the EIS for Lithium America's development, destruction of the lands for a lithium mine with little compensation and no direct reparations.
As Native people, when you look at Oak Flat, they're
in the almost the identical situation.
This is Oak Flat, a 6.5 square mile plot of land in Arizona's Tonto National Forest. The land is sacred to the Western Apache people. To you, it may look like any other Arizona desert, but to the Apache people, it's the birthplace of their religion.
I think the way that theirs went, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a land transfer, and there was a rider that had to pass, and so that's how the land transfer went. But you know, they've been fighting this, I guess, a little bit longer than we have. But you know, what do we do?
Pressure can take many forms, legal or not.
You have no reason to be down here this far in the valley. No, you do not. This is not BLM land. It does. You are a security guard, not a cop. You are a security guard. You have no more power than I do. No, you have no more power than I do whatsoever. You know what? You need to leave right now. I was flying no drone. I was not flying no drone. You are no cop. You are no investigator. You need to get out of here. You are on public ground right now, and my life feels threatened with my family in my car, and I am concealed to carry, and you make me feel any more threatened? No, but I'm telling you, you're making me feel threatened right now.
Now, you have to realize the whole kind of rhetoric that was given through the Trump administration is twofold. One, local economies will thrive because of this extraction activity, and we will secure a rare element in terms of our energy, you know, kind of efficiency, which might have a little bit, but the first point is incredibly fallacious. The fact is, what we know is all regional economies are really advanced through property tax. That is how the region reserves or gets a revenue, and then it supports activities. Well, a company like Energy Fuel Inc., they're leasing lands. They pay no property tax. And the jobs that would really be derived are of only several dozen jobs, actually. And because it's very specialized, the jobs that go to locals tend to be custodial. They tend to be transportation, trucking things here and there. And they're not sustainable. At some point, they end. What we do know about national monuments are, and there's been a 40-50 year study of all national monuments in the last 50 years. All of them have increased exponentially economically post-national monument status. And the jobs are not in the dozens or in the hundreds. They're in the thousands that they create in the local regional economy. And so if you're actually going to advance that point, let's really speak in fact, because national monuments, in many ways, first provide a protection on cultural resources and natural resources, but they advance the economy in a fairly profound way.
When I was a game warden, that's all I did most of the time, was pick up trash along the lake, or by boat or by jeep, you know, but I was picking up trash continuously. Old trash piles too. And even today, you go out on a reservation, you'll find some of these old trash piles left from the non-Indians that were here before the tribe settled. You know, you're dumping stuff everywhere, but I guess that's the way of mankind. The haikus is just dispose of things, throw it away, do away with it, you know, and don't care about the environment or consequences. And just like everybody's saying about the lithium now, you know, what are the consequences of lithium? You know, and I wish they'd have questioned the consequences of radiation back in the day, you know, and here it is in the 90s where tribes are fighting nuclear waste dumps and having to get educated on this wonderful element called nuclear power.
According to the report, seismicity rates to the west of the Brawley Fault increased moderately during the period of geothermal operations, whereas those to the east of the fault increased significantly. They relegated the question to page 163.
A lot of money can be made. A lot of money. People, I've heard, want to call this area around the Salton Sea Lithium Valley, and that just sounds so freaking crazy to me. You know, this is my home, and I regard the Salton Sea area as a sacred place. I hold it up close to my heart, and my family does. My community does. And so to have drilling in and around the sea, extracting brine, extracting salt, extracting lithium in the fashion that they want to do is harmful. And the native people haven't even been contacted about this. This is part of our history. We have not been asked how we feel about it.
In summary, the report says, the detailed subsurface response to the expected increase in injection and production is still unclear, and further study is needed to forecast the seismicity ratio and the magnitude. Will lithium extraction set off a major earthquake in California? Are we ready for the big one?
My name is Preston J. Arrowin, and I'm a Quechan elder. On the Quechan people's traditional land, pressure is mounting from international mining firms, developers, and the federal government to approve projects like lithium extraction with little oversight. We're allied with Oak Flat on the Apache Nation, Thacker Pass, Paiute, Shoshone, and other tribes and sacred places. We need to bring a different world into being. Out of our collective spirit, we create that world. I'm here to introduce our story series on new thinking and standing up. It's called Creative Frontline, produced by Robert Landau and Apache tracker Quinone, and it's here on KPFK 90.7.